In this video, I'd like to present to you one of the new features in NetAdvantage for Silverlight 10.3, the xamGrid copy-paste support. Copy and paste is supported both within the xamGrid itself and also to and from Excel. The way the xamGrid offers this functionality is by making available a couple of events, clipboard copying and clipboard pasting, that you can handle and implement on your own. What we're looking at here is a small sample where I've implemented these two events and I've added code which handles a lot of the cases which we see in many of the scenarios that customers are working with. So let's dive right in and test drive this feature. So I'm going to start by selecting some of the values in the first two columns. I'm going to copy them and I'm going to move to Excel and I'm going to paste them here. As we see, the values have been copied and pasted successfully. Something to note about the sample here, we've tried to include as many different types of columns as possible to test as many of the scenarios which you encounter in your day-to-day work. We have integer double, an unbound column, a nullable int, a nullable double, boolean, nullable boolean string, datetime, and a read-only column. So let's try something else. Let's copy from Excel and paste into the xamGrid. I'm going to copy this array of numbers. I'm going to paste it in these two columns. As we see, the numbers were successfully pasted. Let's try something more complex though. Let's select a range of values and try to paste them into Excel. As we see, the values containing many different data types were successfully pasted, including dates, string, and boolean values. Let's now select the row we just pasted here, copy it, and try and paste it in the row below in the xamGrid. The error we get over here says that the value couldn't be pasted in the URI cell because the cell is read-only. This is one of the benefits of writing our own code for pasting, because we can handle different cases differently. In our case, we prevent pasting into read-only columns. However, you may choose to extend this functionality to suit your own needs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to have all the rest of the values I copied pasted into the cells. Of course, we could test a few more copy-paste scenarios. I'm going to paste this value over here. I'm going to select these four values and paste them here. I'm going to select a few of these values and paste them over here. This is again one of the checks which we've added in the code handling paste. What I've done here is I've copied a range of nullable boolean cells, which includes a null value in one of the cells. And when I'm trying to paste it into a regular boolean column, I get an error saying that the value of null is not valid for this particular cell. So I'm going to click OK. I'm going to have all the rest of the values pasted in correctly, and I have informed the user that the value he's pasting in is not correct, so he can take corrective action. Let's try a few more scenarios here. Let's say we open up one of the child levels, and let's select some data here and paste it into the parent level. I'm going to select this range of values over here, copy them, and paste them starting this cell over here. Okay, so the values were correctly pasted. Let's now paste values from the parent level into the child level. We'll select a few of these values over here. Again, pasting them into the child level of the hierarchy. The code we're using implements type validation. So if I try to paste a null value for date in a non-nullable datetime column, I'm going to get a message saying that this value conversion was unsuccessful. So this is just one of the extensions which we've implemented in the code handling the pasting. To take advantage of all this validation and user notification functionality, you have to be using the extensions which I'm using in this project for handling the clipboard copying, clipboard pasting events. Of course, you can implement them yourselves, or you can implement any other logic that you need. Another type of validation that is performed by the extensions that I'm using in this project is so-called region validation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all but one of the cells in this row. I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to try and paste them starting with a cell which does not leave enough space for all the data that I copied to be pasted. So once I try to paste it, I get a message saying that the region where I'm pasting this data is not enough to accommodate the values which I've copied. So again, now I'm getting warnings because of type conversions. Again, so this allows your user to get an idea of whether the pasting operation is successful or not. And it also allows them to easily correct the pasting to make it valid. All right, so let's take a look at the code and how this copy pasting functionality is set up. I'm going to open up Visual Studio 2010, and we're going to take a look at the project which was used to generate this sample. Okay, so we're looking at the sample project which we used to generate the sample we just looked at. So what we have here is a couple of projects. One of them is the actual project containing the grid, and the other one containing the extensions we used to implement the copy pasting functionality. Of course, in both projects we have references to the xamGrid library version 10.3. And now we take a look at the page where we show the grid. We can see how copy pasting is handled. It's handled basically by providing event handlers for the two events, clipboard pasting and clipboard copying. This allows you to handle these events and implement your own logic. Just like in Excel, we only allow rectangular single band regions to be selected. After we've looked at the code, I'm going to open up the project again to demonstrate how this selection validation works. Okay, so once we've verified the selection, we copy the values. If the selection is invalid, we display a message box and we cancel the copying operation. Handling the pasting, we basically invoke the paste data extension method which we coded. So let's take a look at that. Basically, in the paste data method, we have type validations, and we're handling the actual pasting across the hierarchy. Of course, you don't have to write all this code yourself. We'll provide these extension methods separately, but the grid, by providing the copying and pasting events, allows you to have a very flexible approach to copying and pasting. You can basically handle copying of values from different columns differently. You can paste values into different columns differently. It's up to you to implement the behavior that you require. Let's now demonstrate the selection validation capability that I mentioned earlier. The grid only allows us to to select rectangular ranges of columns which belong to the same band. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a selection which spans two bands. I'm basically selecting cells from both the parent and child levels. So if I try to copy this, I'm going to get a message that only valid copy shapes are allowed. What this means is that the records which are copied must belong to a single band and that the shape must be rectangular. So if I try to select a region like this, again, it's not rectangular, so when I try and copy it, I'm going to get an error message which instructs me so. If we try to copy a non-rectangular region in Excel, we're going to get a similar message by Excel.
Infragistics. On the web at infragistics.com.